It is 9 o'clock on the west coast of the United States. It is 0400 GMT, if my math is right. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. cBasAfterDark does Nerd News Monday for the 27th of April, 2015. Next thing you know, it's going to be May, people. It feels like just yesterday was freaking Christmas. Seems like there might be a couple of new viewers, so in case you're new to the program, welcome. I'm sorry to tell you, this is all I got. This is an ugly mug that you're going to be looking at for the next 60 minutes, if you so desire to stay here with me. But going to be talking about the news, especially the nerd news. Now, there is actual breaking news happening. I don't have anybody on the ground in Baltimore, but there are a lot of people pissed off about the police treatment of a guy that died due to a broken neck. We will not be bringing you any of that coverage because, for one thing, I don't want to get my happy ass shut down. And for another thing, it's Nerd News Monday, and that's not what I do on Nerd News Monday. The best I'll do is talk to you about sort of, about it in a very generic way. But what we're going to do is kind of the usual thing. It's the good old happy Nerd News Monday where I'm just trying to bring up everything I want to talk about here because, frankly, there's a lot of things I want to talk about, and I think I just almost turned on WKRP by accident. Admission, full disclosure, I was watching WKRP right before this thing, and yeah, I already see the Trekkies in the Trekkie chat room talking about calling me and driving me nuts. You're welcome to call. I will put you on the radio, or you will be on live. So you just beware that if you call me, why will WKRP not shut up? Oh my God, I have to literally turn it on to something else. Yeah, Alien Ape Farm is going to call me. He's gonna call me from literally down the street. He could yell out his window. Alien Ape Farm could yell out his window, and I could hear him. But no, he's going to call and heckle and harass me here. Anyway. It's going to be a great show. First and foremost, the Chipotle GMO situation. The anti-GMO stance from Chipotle is some pretty pandering bullshit. Thanks to the folks at Gizmodo for this article. I was just having a GMO chat, actually, with the guys. And it's been a very active chat in the Trekkie chat room, talking about everything but Star Trek. We were talking about the goddamn, the Baltimore police and the people who are rioting, and how the people who are rioting are really just as bad as Baltimore police officers who hurt people or kill people or other police agencies, for that matter, where they kill people. We were also talking about GMOs. We were talking about the news media, what makes a good, news broadcast versus what makes propaganda. And that's one of the things that's a very near and dear topic to my heart. Not really a Nerd News Monday topic, but I will say this in less than 60 seconds. I will say that the argument we had was somebody was watching Fox News because Fox News has local reporters on the ground interviewing rioters in the middle of a riot, right? Quote unquote riot. It's not a riot. It is a big protest where some people who want to be on TV are breaking windows of stores and lighting dumpsters of trash on fire and so forth. It may have gotten a little bit bigger than that in the past couple of hours, but Fox News, propaganda, right? Here's the real story of what, here's the real story of what's happening. And someone links the police, like broadcastify.com link to the police agency frequencies in Baltimore. Now, time was when I would have agreed with that. It's one step closer to what's actually happening. But this is a case of police misconduct. This is a case of police brutality. And I think there's a good argument to be made for not necessarily believing what you hear on the police scanner as the real story, as opposed to Fox News Channel, because here's the thing. As I've said about Fox News Channel many times, they're horseshit. They're obviously not news in the way a shoehorn is not a horn, in the way cottage cheese is not cheese. Fox News Channel is mostly not news. Just because it's got the word in the title doesn't mean it's true at all. But I think I stole one of those jokes from Ellen DeGeneres. Full disclosure, I cannot rip off Ellen DeGeneres and not credit her for it. But that said, I know many people who are Fox News affiliates, people who work there, who are not Shepard Smith. They're not fucking the other people who are the, blowhards. Bill O'Reilly, what's the fucktard's name who, why can't I say it? I mean, I don't even care about saying his name. Doesn't matter. The point is, many of the people on Fox News are blowhards and are not journalists. Most of the reporters on the ground, most of them really are, and really want to do a good job, and really sad that they work at Fox News. Let me just tell you that bit of insider baseball. Many of the people who work at Fox News are kind of ashamed that they do. For that matter, MSNBC also, because these are not news channels. These people want to be journalists and actually tell real stories that people need to know. And what they're getting is a bunch of horse shit oftentimes. Not always. But I know many good people who work at Fox. So, I mean, interestingly, I'm here in this kind of paradoxical situation where I'm almost defending Fox News and pointing out that in the case of police misconduct, listening to the police scanner is not a step closer to the real story at all. In fact, it might be a step further away. If you look at that, which Carolina was it? North Carolina, South Carolina, where the cop was caught on tape blatantly shooting a running suspect in the back who had not threatened anybody's life. Might have struggled over the taser with the cop before the camera started rolling. I mean, it's clear there was more that went on than just what was in that recording. But it's also clear that guy did not deserve to be shot in the back as many times. It's also clear the cop planted the taser over by the dead guy's body. Every cop I know, and I know cops, many cops, who say, you shouldn't have handcuffed that guy after shooting him 9 times. Should have immediately started CPR. Instead, the guys are laughing about it like that guy's being arrested for murder, and rightfully so. But again, listening to the police scanner in that situation would not have been closer to the real news story. In fact, it would have been the furthest thing from the real news story. So just an example of how the scanner is not an almighty way of getting closer to the news. All right. So much for making that under 60 seconds. That's all the right coverage we're going to do here. Let's start with fucking Chipotle, because holy mother of God, Chipotle has done something yet again. We covered in the fast food, junk food story that I have brought to you before. Why can I not? Here we go. Chipotle has decided they are going to stop serving pork in some places because they cannot, what am I trying to say? They cannot be sustainable in their pork production. So these Chipotle restaurants have taken pork off the menu rather than serve pork where the pigs are raised inhumanely. That was the thing. And, okay, back to me just for a second. Back to me just for a second. It's my show. I can do what I want. Hey, I'm going to start by cracking a new Mountain Dew. This one I bought at the store. It's the Baja Blast from Taco Bell, only they now have it not just in Taco Bell. They have it in stores. Available now for your thirst-quenching goodness. All right. I just heard Alien Ape Farm vomit out his eyeballs because I'm drinking Mountain Dew. So my apologies, Ape. I forgot to warn you ahead of time. Okay. Yes. So Chipotle did a thing, and I kind of agreed with it because you know what? Seeing those pigs are pretty smart. I'm a lover of pig meat, bacon, ham. What's the third one? Bacon, ham. Completely having a brain fart. Not sausage. What am I trying to say? Pork, bacon, ham. That's what I'm trying to say. Pork's the generic term. Doesn't matter. But the magical pig, as Homer Simpson said, right? The magical pig. Deliciousness. And how can you not want to eat pig meat? Well, you know, they raise them inhumanely. That does one thing to make me not want to eat pig meat. Now, Chipotle is a little bit on the pricey side already, so it's probably possible that I wouldn't have gone to Chipotle in the first place. Today, something new came out. Look at the date on this, April 27th. That's about 6 hours ago. Chipotle's anti-GMO stance is some anti-science pandering bullshit. The article here by Sarah Zhang, and God bless her. God, I love this story. Chipotle, a company known for making oversized burritos and publishing literary fiction on items of trash. What does that mean? We'll look at that in a minute. Announced today it has stopped serving food made from genetically modified organisms. Oh, hooray, yet another victory, she says, for misinformation. There's a broad scientific consensus that, say it with me, folks, genetic modification is safe and likely necessary technology for feeding the population of the world. A couple of the people in the chat room earlier tonight said, hey, if those people in starving countries don't want to be starving, they should leave. Yeah, that is a first world perspective, and it is just this side of fucking racist. Do I have my name on there twice? I guess I do. Sorry about that, guys. It's either have it on there twice or delete all of it off the screen, and I don't want to do that right now. Back to the article. Lots of organic-minded people are still unwilling to accept the stance. Sure, Chipotle is giving a choice here, but it's also capitulating to the idea there's something wrong with GMOs while burnishing its own corporate image. And you goddamn know that the idiots who did not take one science class but consider themselves experts because they read a website once, that they're going to be, you know, all over the GMO thing. Here's why Chipotle's move especially smells like pandering BS. For the past couple of years, Chipotle's been getting its suppliers to get rid of GMO corn and soybean. Today's GMO-free announcement comes as Chipotle has switched over to non-GMO corn and soybean oil. but it still serves, oh, look at this. It still serves pork and chicken from animals raised on GMO feed. Its beef comes from pasture-fed cows. A good chunk of the GMO corn and soybeans grown in America actually goes to feed livestock, so a truly principled stance against GMOs should cut out meat from genetically modified organism-fed animals too. Any guesses why Chipotle hasn't stopped serving GMO-fed chicken and pork? Yes, because it's not economically feasible. Let's click that link. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Chipotle says it's finished removing GMO ingredients from the menu. Oh, man, I'm not going to be able to get all of it because I don't subscribe to the goddamn Wall Street Journal. Let's read the beginning of it. They worked more than 2 years to eliminate genetically modified ingredients. They say that because they're the first major restaurant chain to do so amid growing U.S. consumer questions about the agricultural technology. Chipotle has more than 1,800 restaurants. They've been working for more than 2 years to eliminate these things, and that's where the story fades out. So, I mean, can I just go news.google.com and find an equally reputable source compared to the good old folks at Wall Street Journal? Let's just go Chipotle GMO. There's Al Jazeera America. I buy that. The people who don't like Muslims wouldn't buy it, but it's honest to God better than Fox News any day of the week. Another step toward the visions we have of changing the way people think and eat fast food. Think about and eat fast food. Here's where he talked to the New York Times. Let's open that one. This is a late edition. Usually I have these stories open or at least linked, but let's see here. Even big food companies are moving to take genetically modified blah, blah, blah out of their products or label products so consumers know which are free of them. I don't mind that so much, although if we do another Google search, we will do stupid labels. And let's just see some of these stupid labels, like this one. Caution, this sign has sharp edges. Do not touch the edges of this sign. Here's another one. Caution, this activity involves using a hot iron. Do not iron while wearing this shirt. Here's one we've all seen. Do not tip or rock this vending machine. It may cause injury or death. This is one of my favorites. Do not hold the wrong end of a chainsaw. Thank you. Checking baby's diaper. I don't know if many of these are real. Some of these may be jokes. These look real. Scrubbing bubbles, fresh brush. Flushable, no mess. Do not use for personal hygiene. Do not use scrubbing bubbles for your personal hygiene. I like this one. Warning, do not use this thermometer orally after using rectally. High spin speeds. This is a laundromat washing machine. Do not put any person in this washer. Each of these, by the way, are here, and I think we all know this because, yes, somebody did it, and somebody sued over it. Like, right, that's why they do this, is because they go to the lawsuit stage, and they can point, look, we had a fucking sign. We even had diagrams on the fucking sign, and, you know, we warned you not to do it, so, you know, that doesn't necessarily guarantee the lawsuit will be thrown out, but it does sort of provide a lot of amusement on this side of the goddamn news. Warning, generator installed at premises. Check installation. This service meter is collected. I don't know why that's a stupid label. Soccer not allowed. Soccer may only be played in archery range. That's funny. That's not really a good, stupid warning label. Oh, here we go. Caution, do not swallow. A clothing hanger from what looks like a dry cleaner. Big nuts required. That's not real. That's like fake. Touching wires causes instant death. $200 fine. That's really funny. This is one of those ones I think that's at the TSA at airports. Well, no, that's not real. No armed midgets. That's bullshit. Here we go. I like these ones. Some experts believe use of any keyboard may cause serious injury. Consult statement on the back of this keyboard. I like this one. Allergy advice contains fish. Tuna chunks in brine. Thank you very much. Oh, this one's fantastic. Can you see it? I'm not sure you can see it. That's an error. But this is a good one from a Razor scooter. What it says in the small letters here is, this product moves when used. It's a Razor scooter, people. But yeah, I'm gonna start and end with one of my favorites. Do not hold the wrong end of a chainsaw, because okay, so all of you people who support GMO labeling realize some of the other labels that are out there. I don't necessarily oppose GMO labeling, but you retards who say GMOs are going to be the end of the universe are retards along the lines of the people who, don't want people in starving countries to eat, because wheat that was genetically modified so that it could stand on its own weight was a genetically. Every farmer who's ever bred cows so that certain kinds of cows get born again next time is a genetically modified guy. Like, I mean, people have this GMO monster ghost image that they kind of project into themselves, or project out onto Facebook. Even better, right? Because what's a more sort of self-masturbatory position to hold than I'm anti-GMO and look at my page on Facebook about it, when this person never had one genetics class, not one. Okay, this person never had. I mean, I did. I didn't do good the first few weeks, but after a while you get better at it. I mean, I was a psychology major, and so genetics was a very minor part of what I was supposed to be taking. But anyway, I can't stop looking at these warning labels. Ingredients: peanuts, 100%. Caution, contains peanuts. Caution, do not hang signs on this fence. It's a warning sign about, no, okay. Here's what, okay, I'm going to go back to this just because this is goddamn funny. I don't know if it's real. I'm telling you right now, this may be bullshit. But the one on the right-hand side here, let me just select it and we can see it full screen. This is a can of Fix-A-Flat for your tire. Warning, not to be used for breast augmentation. I don't know if that's real. It might not be, but that's pretty funny. The one I saw, oh, here it is. Again, this is also something I, full disclosure, can't imagine being real. It's a 6-piece precision screwdriver set. Warning, not to be inserted into penis. All right, on that note, we're going to move right along because holy fucking shit, does that make every male set of knees watching me right now slam shut like a motherfucker. Let's look at the mercury found in Mexico. Moving right along to the nerd news. Here's a topic that we can all agree on because everybody knows mercury is completely non-toxic and really, pretty and a beautiful substance to look at. It's shiny and it's liquid and all of that. Completely harmless, of course. Oops, that's not the right site. What is happening? This is the best goddamn rehearsal I've ever had, though, I'll tell you that. Here we go. This hunt for the ancient royal tomb in Mexico has taken a mercurial twist. Oh, the folks at Reuters are funny. A Mexican archaeologist hunting for a royal tomb discovered something that may have brought him a step closer while looking through a deep, dark tunnel. He found liquid mercury in the bowels of Teotihuacan, which is a mysterious ancient city that was once the largest in the Americas. Sergio Gomez found large quantities of the silvery metal in a chamber at the end of a sacred tunnel sealed for nearly 1,800 years. It's something that completely surprised us. I wish they had a picture. Is that a picture? I guess that's a picture of the actual outside and inside of the thing, and I guess that's them looking into the hole. I didn't really see a picture of the mercury. Let's see here. Oh, clicking those pictures actually changed the story, I think. All right. Some archaeologists believe the toxic element could herald what would be the first ruler's tomb ever found in Teotihuacan, a contemporary of several ancient Mayan cities, but so shrouded in mystery its inhabitants still have no name. Unsure why the mercury was put there, Gomez says the metal may have been used to symbolize an underworld river or lake. Previously uncovered in small amounts, it has never been found in this city. It's hard to mine. It was prized for its reflective properties. Mercury was rare in ancient Mexico, probably in many places in the ancient world. Archaeologists believe it may have lent a supernatural significance for ritual ends. Deeper into the complex, they expect to find the elusive last resting place of a king. So, I don't know why that's interesting to me, except, Mercury, right? You got to love any discovery or any sort of accidental discovery of a large pool of mercury. I just see these headlines go by and I'm like, holy shit, that's really crazy. Here's one that'll make your blood boil. If you happen to have a car, certainly a new car, right? It has to go into the repair shop sometime. If it's a new car, hopefully not soon. If it's an old car, this does not apply to you. But if this is a new car, what about using the DMCA I always mix it up. Is it DCMA or DMCA? It's the DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. What about using the Copyright Act to make working on your car illegal? Illegal to repair it, illegal to modify it. If you're one of those people who likes to mod their cars or do various things. And let's just face it, in the future, car modification is going to involve a lot more computers than it does today, right? Like, I mean, car modification is going to involve more computers by definition because cars themselves involve more computers. Car makers want to use the copyright law to make working on your car illegal. This from jalopnik.com. It's kind of a car blog from 6 days ago. You know what a pain those plastic engine covers are? How they get in the way and hide your own car's engine from you? I don't have a car, so that, I mean, I do know about that. I've seen engines that have that, but I don't really register that as a personal complaint of mine in the past. Well, consider that black piece of molded plastic a metaphor for something much worse. The digital, brought to you by Belch Beer, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Automakers want to use the DMCA to say you can't work on or modify your own car. This article has an update. They just received a statement from the Automakers Alliance. It's coming up at the end. We all know working on and tinkering with your modern car is a very different undertaking than older cars. It's no longer just about putting on a new manifold and dual carbs. Modern cars involve many, many computers. Working on your car usually means working with and talking to the computers embedded in the car. Nothing inherently wrong with computers. They allow for safety, convenience, and efficiency, but that doesn't mean they can't be repaired or tinkered with by the owner. It just takes different kinds of skills and tools than it did to do a 1949 Mustang or whatever the hell. It's not like rejetting a carburetor was something anyone could do anyway. Well, this is really no different. You just got to be a hacker now to mod your car. Well, it is different, this author says, in one important way. Because of how much so many modern cars work involving computers and software code, cars can now fall under the aegis of bills like the DMCA, and automakers can use this act to try and restrict what an owner can do. Automakers are considering cars mobile computing devices, and as such would fall under the DMCA's draconian protections. Really, here's how they describe their reasoning in the Auto Alliance's statement against a proposed exemption to allow people. They are against an exemption to let people work on their own cars. This is a group of car automakers involving, by the way, BMW Group, Ford Motor Company, GM, Jaguar, Mazda, Mercedes-Benz, Mitsubishi, Porsche, Toyota, Volkswagen, and Volvo. Okay, here's the statement in italics here. Automobiles are inherently mobile, and increasingly they contain equipment that would be considered mobile computing devices. Many of the ECUs embodied in today's motor vehicles are carefully calibrated to satisfy state regulatory requirements or federal regulatory requirements with respect to emissions control, fuel economy, vehicle safety. Allowing vehicle owners to add and remove programs at whim is likely to take vehicles out of compliance with those requirements, rendering the operation or resale legally problematic. The decision to employ access controls to hinder unauthorized tinkering with these programs is necessary in order to protect the safety and security of drivers and passengers and reduce the level of non-compliance with regulations. We urge the Copyright Office to give full consideration to the impacts on critical national energy and environmental goals, as well as motor vehicle safety in the decision in this proposed exemption. Since its record on this proposal contains no evidence regarding its applicability to or impact on motor vehicles, cars and trucks should be specifically excluded from any exemption in this area. Okay, here's what this author goes on to say. Not that they don't have any points. There could be safety implications, but this isn't an all or none situation. Locking out key safety features while leaving other components open to repair is certainly possible. This means if you want to modify your car by getting your ECU flashed to make changes to, say, increase horsepower, change the throttle response or whatever, you'd be violating the law, even if you don't touch any of the safety or security code in the car's computers. Just tinkering with it is against the law. The lengths automakers are going to justify the idea you can't modify a product you paid money for and you own is absurd. The car makers don't want you to be able to even look at any of the code in the vehicle you own and entrust your safety to, citing worst case scenarios, like you might try to use that code to change the odometer to defraud someone, or you'll use other things to find ways to break into other people's cars. Even better, in this EFF article, they cite John Deere's wildly bonkers justification for keeping people from tinkering with its products. John Deere, the tractor people, even argued that letting people modify car computer systems will result in them pirating music through the onboard entertainment system, and the exemption process doesn't authorize copyright infringement anyway. So So this person goes on in reductio ad absurdum saying, what's the best way to burn a copy of a friend's CD? Yes, using your John Deere tractor, or better yet, your combine. Hell, those things are basically just big motorized music pirating machines anyway. They just happen to be able to harvest millet and sorghum. I really like this article's like tone, and I like this image here, the DMCA on the car cover with the lock on it, an old greasy lock, by the way. The whole thing is wrong in so many ways, and if the automakers are allowed to restrict owner access, whether they themselves tinker or repair or not, a cascade of unfortunate effects will follow. Independent repair shops will have it rough. They become vulnerable to lawsuits if they try to fix a car by accessing restricted code, or even just connecting to the, what is it, ECU? I don't know what that stands for, but aftermarket companies, they say, could become illegal, since technically something even as basic as changing a wheel size in a car can affect the ECU's ability to compute speed and make adjustments, and a manufacturer could decide that's tampering with the inputs to the CE-ECU. Maybe that's a stretch, maybe not. This law could make it possible. This person says, I'm a firm believer that if you can't open it, you don't really own it. I believe in things like Mr. Jalopy Maker's Bill of Rights. All right, I don't know what that is. And firmly believe that everyone who owns a car has the right to work on their car. Back to me just for a second. I feel like that's not a legal mind, okay? I'm barely a computer guy, but, you know, like I say, on a 1 to 10 scale of computer people, I'm somewhere between 4 and 5. I'm not a hacker, I'm not a pro, but I'm not, you know, I help people who are 1s and 2s frequently. So I know my way around the different operating systems and how I need to. If a manufacturer wants to void a warranty, fine, this person says. That's the risk we take. But think about it, just on a intuitive, just top level, surface level consideration. People working on their cars is kind of like the American dream, the old-fashioned American thing that, you know, I mean, it's a dad with his son repairing an old greasy piece of shit that he's going to give to the son when he's old enough to drive, or teach him to drive in it, kind of a thing. You know, I mean, that's kind of I'm not one of those guys who goes back to, you know, it's how it used to be, therefore it's how it should always be, and nothing good should ever change. But this is bullshit, right? I mean, this just seems off the top of one's head like bullshit. That name on there twice is driving me fucking crazy, so I'm going to kill all those. Put this back on, resume my tirade in a second, and say you are watching cBas After Dark, our Nerd News Monday. And, yeah, go fuck yourself with the phone number. No, I'll put the phone number on just so people don't think I'm trying to squelch people calling. You can always call or text, by the way. This number is also my cell phone. You can just text me anytime. It's 776-5869 in the 310 area code. That's 310-776-COONS if you'd like to spell out words on the little dialing pad. But again, I'm not necessarily attached to all those things of Americana. You know, popcorn got better when we took it off of the Jiffy Pop foil thing and put it into the microwave bag. I mean, that's just a very sort of simple example of how old Americana kind of got improved upon, but we lost a very nostalgic thing. They still, where was it? Was it like Cost Plus World Market or something? I saw the old-fashioned Jiffy Pop popcorn in the foil thing with the cardboard lid that you, with the, you know, that little wire hanger handle that you hold over a burner to pop the popcorn to watch a movie. I mean, anybody of a certain age has an enormous attachment just to that entire sort of visual in your head. Even if you never really did it, I feel like you kind of know what that visualization is and means. And I feel like up there in that category is the dad working on a car with his son, even if it's just, I was never, ever, and I mean ever, one of those tool logic guys. Like, I was never a car repair guy. I didn't like getting dirty. Okay, you know who you're talking to here. This is the cBas After Dark show, and you know who you're watching. It's just like everything, you know, those music festivals, you know, whether it's Coachella, whether it is Lollapalooza, Electric Daisy, whatever those music festivals are. I'm all about sex, I'm all about drugs, and I'm all about rock and roll. But why do we have to roll in the fucking mud? All right. But in that same way, I don't like getting dirty in that way. I don't like getting greasy. And working on cars almost always involved being greasy. So I almost always happened to be busy watching Star Trek when Dad was working on one of the tractors. And I did grow up on a ranch, so there actually were tractors. And I got my share of the manly shit by riding horses and going hunting and killing a bear once. Yes, I killed a bear once when I was 14. My dad just busted out old pictures of the time I caught the bear and killed the bear, because the bear, it was legal. It wasn't just poaching. Like, it was legal. We had a tag. We were on a deer hunting trip, but we had a bear tag too, because, long story, I won't even bother. Well, just to make it clear that I was not killing bears like out of nowhere. We had a legal tag for it because my dad had been warned that bears were in the area where we were going hunting, killing livestock. That was the thing. These bears were killing livestock and dogs and so forth on people's ranches and farms. And so the bear hunting season was at the same time as the deer hunting season. And somehow one thing led to another. And goddamn if we didn't see a single deer that trip. But I personally shot a bear and killed it. We turned it into meat. We did all the things you're supposed to do with it. Just the meat was not good at all. It was kind of gross. Kind of gamey, I believe the word is. Anyway, there's my cBas's manly story for the week. But anyway, as I said, I don't really like getting dirty. So I was never the tool helping your... If there was a time when I helped my dad with the car, it was taking the tools out of the toolbox and handing them to him, but never taking them back from him, because then they were greasy and gross. How gay do I sound right now? All right. Anyway, but all that said, removing cBas from the picture, because after all, it is my show. Like, Americana, there are certain things we kind of are nostalgically attached to. One of them is fixing your own damn car, whether it's dad and your son, whether it's just you kind of working on your own car to get it. There's a million different sort of iterations of that. And I'm not one to shit on anybody's nostalgia or memory, but more important than that, like using the DMCA to try to protect once you buy it. Now, here's the other argument they're saying is you're not really buying the computer programs inside your car that is computer driven. You are licensed to use it, right? Just like when you buy a song on iTunes, you don't really own it. You're licensed to have it. And I think there's something coming down that particular legal road. Again, I'm not a legal mind. I'm barely even a, official geek. I'm more of an honorary geek, I guess, because I don't give a shit about superhero movies, or superhero comics. Most geeks do. I'm a huge Trekkie, but not so much about Star Wars, and most nerds are supposed to be about Star Wars, whatever. There's a million reasons when my nerd credibility could probably accurately be called into question, but let's not explore that on Nerd News Monday. On my to defend myself, I am a longtime reporter of nerd news, be it science news or Star Trek news or Star Wars news or whatever the hell. By the way, in case you didn't catch it, last week, was it? Today's Monday. It's got to be last week. I was on the radio in San Francisco with my old buddy talking about my theories and predictions, my take on the new Star Wars trailer, and my take on what J.J. McSnotty Pants fucking Abrams is going to do to Star Wars. And I played it last week. We probably should seek that out because it's pretty good. Okay. Let's move on. But I do like that story, and I do think that's something we want to continue to follow, because holy shit, these car makers just feel like they can do whatever, don't they? Hey, let's look at Nagilum. Is Nagilum real? If you're a Trekkie, you don't need me to explain. If you're not a Trekkie, I'll just tell you. Season 2, Next Generation, Nagilum, this black void that the Enterprise comes upon, and they head toward it, and suddenly they're inside it, and the stars are gone. Could it be real? Well, that's just my Trekkie way of saying they've found a super void in space. Maybe it's the amoeba that Spock found and helped blow up in the original series. I also suggested it could be V'ger, but V'ger wasn't a void so much as a cloud, so that doesn't really work. But here's the Telegraph from the UK. They use cookies to enhance my visit. Well, isn't that nice? Here's the Telegraph from the UK. Mysterious super void in space is the largest object ever discovered. A supervoid has been discovered in the universe, which is too big to fit into current models. All right, so there's the Andromeda Galaxy, way down here in this enlarged oval. And here is, what, that's 1 billion light years. I guess this blue blotch is the void. Let's read this article from Sarah Napton. It's called The Cold Spot. Astronomers have discovered a curious, empty section of space missing around 10,000 galaxies. The supervoid, which is 1.8 billion light years across, is the largest known structure ever found in the universe. Scientists are baffled about what it is and why it's so barren. It sits in a region of space which is much colder than other parts of the universe, and although it is not a vacuum, it seems to have around 20% less matter than other regions. Although the Big Bang Theory allows, that's the theory itself, not the sitcom, it allows for areas that are cooler and hotter. The size of the void does not fit with predicted models. Simply put, it is too big to exist, according to current models. Oh man, Yahweh's going to kick my butt for not getting this name right, although it doesn't look like a Hawaiian name, to be fair. Istvan Zapudi of the University of Hawaii at Manoa described the object as possibly the largest individual structure ever identified by humanity. It was picked up by a Hawaiian telescope, the PS-1, located on Haleakala, Maui, and NASA's Wide Field Survey Explorer satellite. That's the WISE satellite. Okay, there's another sort of image. You are here. No, I don't think we are here, but that's where the supervoid is. We are over here somewhere, next to Chipotle. An empty section of space. Defining a supervoid here, an empty section of space defined by the lack of superclusters. In this case, the empty section of space is missing an estimated 10,000 galaxies. This isn't the first mystery of outer space. Well, we know that. The latest findings suggest the supervoid may be draining energy from light traveling through, which is why the area around it is so cold. Getting through such a big hole takes hundreds of millions of years, even at the speed of light, and photons slow down as they cross because the universe and therefore the void is continually expanding. The scientists claim the void can only account for 10% of the temperature drop in the cold spot. It just pushed I like this quote, it just pushed the explanation one layer deeper, said this cosmologist, Dr. Roberto Trotta at Imperial College London. I like that. I really like that. Thinking about explanations as having layers, right? This is what people who use intelligent design, who claim God exists and so forth, don't get, is that, the more sort of robust a explanation is, an understanding of a thing, anything is, the more layers it's going to have. It's going to be more and more complex the more information we gather, the more knowledge we engender. And so I feel like that's kind of a very basic thing. Anyway, the supervoid is only about 3 billion light years away from Earth. Hey, it's our backyard practically. It's a relatively short distance in the cosmic scheme of things. They're not entirely empty. Supervoids are under-dense, says Andras Kovacs in Budapest. This is the greatest supervoid ever discovered. I bet Nagilum was bigger. We don't know how big Nagilum was. Given the combination of size and emptiness, our supervoid is still a rare event, a very rare event. We can expect only a few supervoids this big in the observable universe. And it's published in the journal Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. Well, there you have it. That's one of the really sort of uplifting, mysterious yet cool scientific things we've found. Here's one of the lesser uplifting scientific stories of the week. Back to our friends at Reuters. Sharon Begley reports, warning of an innovation deficit. Scientists at MIT say declining government spending on basic research is holding back potentially life-saving advances in 15 fields. This dated today. From robotics to fusion energy to Alzheimer's disease to agriculture, science funding is the lowest it has been since the Second World War as a fraction of the federal budget, says this MIT physicist, Mark Kastner, who led the committee that wrote The Future Postponed. This really threatens America's future. Spending on research is unusually politicized. What isn't in this fucking country these days? And it's sad because if you look back, let's look back. Federal spending on research as a share of total government outlays has fallen from nearly 10% in 1968 during the space program to 3% this year. As a share of gross domestic product, it has dropped from 0.6% in 76 to just under 0.4%. And this is the other kind of scary part that I really don't like. The pullback comes as other countries are increasing their science spending, scoring achievements, leaving the USA in the dust. I recently rewatched the first episode of The Newsroom from HBO. Episode 1, Season 1, first 10 minutes. I'm not going to play it here because I know that's one of those copyrighted things that will get me shut the fuck down if I try. But it's him, Will McAvoy, the lead character in the show, answering the question why America is the greatest country in the world. Saying why America is the greatest country in the world. His answer? It's not. And he goes through, we're the 47th in labor forces, we're the 127th in infant mortality, we're 97 in, these exports and 150th in this, he goes on and on and on and on and on, making a mind-bogglingly solid argument for why America isn't the greatest country in the world anymore, why it used to be. And, I think the implication being we can be again, this is the place where you're supposed to be able to make your fucking dreams come true. This is the place that has consistently said more than any other country, we can do better. That's the aspiration that we're all supposed to be aspiring to. Well, we can't do better if the other countries are beating us in science spending, in science education, and so on. Let's go back to this article and leave me out of it because I'd rather not rant. It's my own show, but fuck it. I'm kind of tired. Among the areas of research languishing, new drugs to combat antibiotic resistant bacteria. Hello, all you fuckers who say big pharma is bad. Hello, all you fuckers who say genetic research is negative thing. Gene therapy is bad. GMOs are bad. Yeah, guess what? I mean, in the food is one thing, labeling is another thing, but ultimately doing research is something that helps us learn. We don't know all of science yet. That's an important thing to remember when you are one of the scientifically minded people is what we don't know vastly outweighs what we know. Anybody who's wise, not just smart, but wise, understands that, recognizes it, and says it frequently. We don't know everything yet. We need to learn more, and there's only one way of telling the truth that works every time, the scientific method. Faith don't fucking work when you get new information. Faith makes people kill you if you try to suggest new information. Other areas ripe for breakthroughs include engineering viruses to identify and destroy cancer cells. They are doing that. I saw a really great article on Vice, the TV show, where all kinds of viruses, including smallpox and HIV, are being used to identify and destroy cancer cells. By the way, it's an effective thing, as it turns out to get more, as we gain more data points, it's unbelievably useful, especially when you compare it to standard chemotherapy of the 1950s or whatever the hell. Quantum computing is another area where we need to probably expand more. China is investing heavily. We talked a little bit about quantum computing last week. Who was it? Somebody in the Trekkie chat room. I almost said his name. I mean, screen name. But he sent me a really great PDF about quantum computing. And it's sort of the thumbnail sketch of quantum computing. I make a lot of jokes about I report quantum computing news stories all the time. I still can't quite really wrap my brain around what it is. This was an article from, I think somebody, not Bell Labs. Was it Bell Labs? Maybe somebody who used to work at Bell Labs, sort of drawing these very basic comparisons to things that we can map onto so I can kind of grasp it a little better. I should try and bring it up sometime. Maybe not tonight. Artificial photosynthesis to boost food production. Oh, I can hear the GMO people screaming. Artificial photosynthesis, only natural photosynthesis produces real food. If it's not real sun producing real photosynthesis, then it's not real food. Blow it out your ass with that stuff. That's not scientific, and it's also racist because the food we're growing is being used to help people who are starving, and if you have a full stomach, nobody with a full stomach ought to be complaining about growing food for other people. Now, this report does not include price tags. That's the thing. All the Republicans, we need to be spending our money on blah, blah, blah. Defense, right? Defense for the Republicans. What is it the liberals say we're not spending enough money on? I mean, infrastructure, yes, we need to spend money on infrastructure. Do we need the money for the defense? I suppose we do. Do we need money for, what was it? Oh, God, what was the article I saw? It was one of those government waste articles, and it wasn't conservatively written. Like, it was actually balancedly written, and it was still pretty upsetting. Kastner, the guy who wrote that article, by the way, in this last line of the article, asked what it might take to reverse the decline in federal support for science. Kastner said, quote, "I wish I knew the answer." That's a true scientist right there. Not really going out on any limbs because he has no evidence or empirical data to support it. Although the other guy, the American Physical Society guy, the director of public affairs, says it's fine to talk about research opportunities, but the report is long on identifying needs and short on identifying policy that'll get us there. I'm all for pointing out problems, and I think that's an important thing. On the other hand, that's not a bad thing to say either. If you're not even trying to conclude or suggest a solution in any way, it's sort of masturbation, right? Like, I mean, if you're just bitching about a problem, sort of like Elon Musk, people are like, oh, Elon Musk is such a great guy. SpaceX, right? Yeah, it's like somebody wouldn't have thought of that eventually anyway. What is that turbo tube that he wanted to build between Los Angeles and San Francisco? I forget what he called, the nanotube or some bullshit, right? And then he said, "Oh yeah, well I'm not gonna build it. I'm not gonna research it. I'm just the idea guy, you know. And while you're at it, jump on a cure for cancer," as John Oliver said. I do worship that John Oliver. Again, this is not a part of Nerd News Monday, but do seek out the latest John Oliver segment. It's all about fashion and child labor. People who buy a lot of clothes are not going to like to read it because essentially you're one of the reasons why children are having to work and dying in collapsing buildings and large fiery buildings. Let's move on. Pluto, the non-planet. We were arguing about this in the Trekkie chat room right before I went on the air too. Pluto, non-planet Pluto. I mean, we were arguing about it. By the way, oh, I almost forgot. The shirt I'm wearing today, I don't know if you can see it. It was given to me for Christmas, and yeah, down here you see, there's Pluto. Weak. Fucking weak, right? You hear the Cartman voice. But yeah, this was given to me like 3 Christmases ago by my sister, and I really like this shirt. And by the way, did not wear this shirt knowing I was going to do a Pluto story tonight. It just happened that this is what I had on. I'm like, dude, perfect. That is fucking perfect. All right. Photos of Pluto, whether it's a planet, whether it's a planet light, whether it's a little micro dot, whatever the hell it is, NASA's New Horizons probe is there and just sent back the first color photos. No spacecraft has ever visited Pluto. This is from Vox.com on the day of my birth. It's going to change July 14th, though, when the probe will fly within 6,200 miles of the dwarf planet after a 9-year journey. Going back for a second, we were just talking about how we don't do any pure exploration anymore. We don't do any pure science. What was it? One of the jokes in this Mystery Science Theater feature film, the movie, where they did This Island Earth on Mystery Science Theater, the movie starts off with a scientist and his assistant doing this very bizarre-looking research assignment where he's inserting a metal thing into it. It looks like a giant piece of toast going into a giant toaster. And their jokes are along the lines of, call Dr. Jemima, and oh my God, my waffle! Oh, the humanity! When it blows up. But one of the lines Mike Nelson says in that is, "This is when science didn't have to have any real purpose." And I thought, ouch! It's so wrong, and yet it's kind of true. Very often we don't know what the purpose is when we're doing pure science, pure exploration. We don't even know what we're trying to find or how we're going to find it. We're just trying something. Well, that's what this article is all about. Alan Stern, the mission's principal investigator, says it. This trip to Pluto is pure exploration. During a Tuesday press conference when the probe's first color photos of Pluto and its moon, the Pluto moon Charon, were released. I thought it was Chirrut there for a second. We're going to turn points of light into a planet and a system of moons before your eyes. So that's what it looks like now. There's Pluto right there. It's as big as your pinky finger. Next month, as New Horizons nears Pluto, it will start taking the most detailed photos we've ever seen of it. The craft will start sending back atmospheric data on Pluto in May. It's only a couple days away now, and data on the surface composition of the dwarf planet in June. By the time we get there in July, we'll have returned over 1,000 images to the planet. So help me God, I hope they find aliens or, at least breakfast cereal there. This is a big deal. Even though Pluto seems very familiar to us, we know far less about it than any of the other actual planets in our solar system. As the way they put it here, we know far less about Pluto than about any of the planets in the solar system. 2 of its moons, Styx and Kerberos, have actually been discovered in the time since New Horizons left Earth. That was in 2006. The Mariner showed us Mars, Venus, and Mercury, and Pioneer and Voyager showed us Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus. In much the same way, this summer, the New Horizons will give us a close-up of Pluto for the first time. Why do we care about Mars? That's another little thing. I like this image. Here's the 2.9 billion mile journey starting way back here at Earth. In fact, Earth is so tiny you don't even really see the inner planets on this image at all, because here's the Jupiter system. That's that first circle. And then like Pluto and so on is this weird line here, right? I'm actually not sure what that yellow circle is supposed to represent, because this outer line is, maybe that weird one, I know what that weird one is. That's Neptune, right? That's the one that's wee-wad and kind of fucked up. Because Neptune has a weird orbit, if you don't remember that. We should look at that too sometime. It's traveled 2.9 billion, powered by an engine that harvests power from GMO corn. No, it harvests power from radioactively decaying plutonium pellets. The mission will cost $700 million. Could we have funded that today? Probably not. Thanks, Republicans. When the craft was launched, Pluto hadn't yet been demoted. That's another part of the story I like. Pluto was still a planet when this craft left the Earth. The mission was initially billed as a visit to the solar system's only unexplored planet. And some people here, Alan Stern has argued Pluto should still be considered one. The argument against that, of course, is there's other things bigger than Pluto that aren't planets. Anyway, they flew by Jupiter in September 06, taking photos, including close-ups of the little red spot and the moons. Since then, the probe has been in hibernation mode. It's a Macintosh. No, not really. That's a joke. It's not a Macintosh. I have no information to suggest it's got the Mavericks operating system going on New Horizons. But starting in January, they started using several different instruments, including a few cameras, to gather data. Because of the vast difference, the data will take about 4.5 hours to arrive. It actually won't be possible to send data at some times based on the orientation of the probe. Does anybody else think of V'ger when you're looking at this? I always think of V'ger, not V'ger, but Voyager, right? Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, which within the past few years actually like left the solar system proper, right? They actually were still in the news, even though they were, launched before good old Star Trek 1 was a movie in theaters, V'ger. And I thought that was interesting. One of the most exciting things to come out of the mission will be the new photos. Right now, there's the best we got. These are taken by the Hubble, blurry blob. I bet we find out that it's got like Captain Crunch on it or something. Maybe not Captain Crunch, maybe like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, something more exotic. Next month, New Horizons will start taking sharper pictures. As this Emily person from the Planetary Society puts it, every photo the probe takes will be the best photo ever taken. I like that characterization. They may show polar ice caps, mountains, maybe even volcanic activity. It looks like Voyager. Well, everything that has that dish on top looks like Voyager to me. They'll also take images of Pluto and its moons using visible infrared and UV wavelengths of light, as well as stereoscopic cameras that will do Pluto in 3D. So let's look at it. I've never really looked too closely at these things. Okay, here's the thermoelectric generator here, heat shield. Oh, Alice, Linda Lavin is right here on the thing. I didn't know they included Linda Lavin on it. Here's Ralph Cramden, I assume. Here's the thrusters. Looking at this reminds me of like looking at the close-up specs on the Starship Enterprise. There's the scale, by the way. So that's a meter. Looks like this dish is about 2 meters in total diameter. Forward low gain antenna, medium gain antenna. Here's some Pepsi in case it gets thirsty. Here's SWAP. Everything on these things becomes an acronym of some kind. So that's why we get Alice, Ralph, Pepsi, and SWAP. Oh, Rex here, Lori. It's really great. Other instruments will detect particles escaping from the nitrogen-based atmosphere. A radio antenna will send signals through it. So it'll be transmitting fucking Rush Limbaugh onto the surface of Pluto. Nice work. By analyzing these signals after they pass through the atmosphere and reach radio dishes on Earth, we'll get a better idea of these specific gases present because the craft will collect so much data, and because it takes so long to send it back, it will continue transmitting it till 2016. It could be valuable because we know so little about Pluto. New Horizons will collect lots of data on the moons as well. Assuming the craft is still operational after its flyby, scientists hope to use it to study more distant objects in the Kuiper Belt. That's the region containing more than 100,000 rocky objects, including Sylvester Stallone himself and Pluto. Stern and other scientists are currently deciding between 2 potential target objects. They can actually choose which object they want it to head toward. Watch the NASA ISS time-lapse. Oh, I think we can't pass that up. Is this going to have audio with it? Or it's going to have an ad with it is what it's going to have. Hello, Motorola Razr. I met Elon Musk. Big marijuana is scary, but not as scary as continuing prohibition. Oh, I like that headline. That's good. We have to look at that sometime. But I don't want to watch ads. I want to see the goddamn thing. And I'm trying to spare you the ads, so that's why I'm sort of scrolling off of it. Although this is an ad for, I guess, the Windows Surface, or I guess the Windows Spectre. HP Spectre. Okay, whatever. This program, by the way, is brought to you by the Windows Surface. Let's go full screen for this. How long is this? 1 minute 48. We can handle this. Not wild about the music. I feel like I'm sneaking up on like Wile E. Coyote or something. And now, Cosmos. Hello? Hello? Yeah. Yeah. Alright. Oh, sorry. Okay, cool. Just text me your question. Hey. Yeah, I bought a Blu-ray though, so I'm pretty stoked right now. Like, give me $3 or something. Okay, cool. All right, I have lost interest in this a little bit, but it's a good thing that called when. Oh, I like that though. Oh man, I just literally took it off me as it switched to a thing I like, but it's just a picture of the satellite kind of going by. Whatever. I mean, that was sort of an interesting little video nonetheless, and it happened to come just as my friend called me on the phone. Not a person wanting to go on the air, just my friend who I'm going to go out with later and have a late birthday Sunday because my friend forgot my birthday, and he's really sweet about it. So God bless him, and God bless you, you godless bunches, for watching me here on Nerd News Monday. Tomorrow's Game Show Tuesday. In fact, this whole week the show's a little wonky because my buddy's in town, and we're going to be kind of hanging out and watching British game shows and other really weird shit that that you may or may not be interested in. I will be doing a show pretty much every night, even if you can't watch live, because I might be doing it like at 7 p.m. instead of 10 p.m. kind of a thing. And did tonight's show early. But do follow me. Sebastian Central is the account on YouTube. You can just see it on tape there anytime. I'll try and post the links in the chat room as well. You can text me, of course, at any time. You can tweet me at any time. At Sebastian Kuntz on Twitter, 310-776-Kuntz on the phone. Until tomorrow night, my friends, make it a great Tuesday and a great Monday night for that matter. I'm cBas. This is cBas.